let's get on to your company, your business, Simon, Clever Bean Accounting. So you've already said at the start, you're not a typical just an accountant. So how is your monthly hand-in-hand sort of approach different to a traditional model? Just give us a bit of an overview of how much more we can expect, or our companies can expect from you as opposed to their normal accountant.
I think there's two main differences. First of all, most normal accountants deal with a whole multitude of different sectors. So the accountant that's looking after your joinery business or your window business is also looking after taxi drivers and hairdressers and architects and whatever else it might be. We only work with businesses in the glazing and home improvement space. And that means we understand the business better. We know who all the suppliers are. We know the terminology. We speak the language. And for me personally, I've run a business in that space. The second thing is, whilst most accountants are focused on what I would call compliance, the regulatory stuff, the stuff you have to do, year-end accounts, corporation tax return, payroll, VAT, confirmation statements, CIS returns, the things that don't add any value to your business but have to be done. Our focus is, yes, we'll do those, but our focus is actually we want to help you become a better business. And we'll do that by most of the stuff we've been talking today. We'll help you put in the systems to capture the data. We'll help you set the KPIs that you need to measure. We'll help you measure them. We'll produce you a budget. We'll do your reforecast for you, working with you. We'll show you how to do a cash flow forecast. And most importantly, when we produce your monthly management accounts, we'll have a monthly meeting with you, usually via Teams, and we'll help you interpret those accounts. What do those results actually mean? And what are the top 3 to 5 actions that you need to take?
Massively important. Yeah. And I can see why you say hand-in-hand approach. So if a joinery manufacturer, I think you've sort of covered how it would improve a business, but if a joinery manufacturer wanted to work with you, what would that first month or months look like in the process? Obviously, pick the phone up. That would be a good start. But after that, what does that look like, onboarding?
So there's a sort of regulatory onboarding process that involves collection of data and photocopies of passports and that kind of thing. But then once we get past that, the first thing we do is an initial review of both the business and the accounts. What condition is your data currently in? And we need to understand all about the nuances of your particular business. What is it you're doing? What are your goals? What are your challenges? The second thing we do is clean up of the accounts, because it's very rare that there isn't some kind of cleanup that needs to be done. I'm still to find one. The next stage is, well, I call it data capture configuration. I still haven't found a better term for it, but it's making sure that going forwards, if these are the key KPIs for the business, we have the ability to collect the data that will then produce those KPIs. And that normally involves a different approach from the client in terms of how they record and manage their data. And then we'll produce the first set of management accounts. And out of that, there's normally something that's obviously wrong. There's normally just like a big elephant in the room that jumps off the page. I've given a couple of examples earlier of the business that was at 35% installation costs, for example. And the key is initially just to keep it simple and focus on that one thing, because that's the low-hanging fruit. And fixing that will instantly make a big difference and probably result in a cost saving or a business improvement that pays back our fees many, many times over. Once that's done, it becomes an iterative process. You then move on to the next biggest thing and fix that. And then you fine tune and fine tune. It becomes an evolution. And the result is often a more relaxed business owner, not just because their business is getting better, but often once we get on board, they feel like they've got someone to talk to. They're not just doing it all on their own. It's a lonely place being a business owner, and they often suffer from overwhelm. And I think just having a bit of a partner can help relieve some of that stress.
Yeah, I would agree. And the fact that these are typically very small businesses, there is, perhaps one business owner, they haven't even got a partner to bounce off of. And yeah, I totally agree.
I was also going to say that quite often the account side of it gets left to somebody else. So actually the process of doing the accounts, like doing the invoicing or putting in money and those sort of things, they get sent off to somebody else. So you don't necessarily, as a business owner, you don't necessarily have visibility of it until it's too late. So until you've got a debt that's outstanding, or until you've got, you don't know what all of those things are, because it's just being done in the background. Whereas if you're manufacturing something, you can see immediately whether there's a mistake or something. So I think it's that level of visibility as well.
I think that's an incredibly good point, Sarah. That the bookkeeping is actually the most important part of this. And there's bookkeeping and there's bookkeeping. And more often than not, the bookkeeping is done by an unqualified person, someone that's got no formal training in bookkeeping or any kind of background accountancy knowledge. And they don't know what they don't know. So they're blindly doing it wrong most of the time. And that means that they're falling short of their regulatory obligations to keep correct accounting records, but also they're not producing data that's actually useful for decision making.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that bit right, then actually we can't help. So we will work with business owners. In many cases, we'll do the bookkeeping for them. But in the cases that we don't, we will work very closely with that bookkeeper and give them the systems and the training to make sure that the output is right.